So, welcome to another edition of Oscar Talks, Oscar Talk. So, basically, I talk my talk. That's where everything, that's is how all this came to be. You guys, this is our sixth episode, I believe. And this started just as a curiosity of talking to the community through the pandemic, the beginning of the pandemic. By the way, we're still in the middle of the pandemic. We don't have a vaccine, or do we know how the virus spread? We know what we know right now, and there's some guidelines, and I hope you guys are following them because I'm following them. So, FYI, we're still through a pandemic. Anyway, too much talk about that, but this is getting like bigger, better. The word is getting out. People are talking about this. I am so very pleased that what came to like what started to be just an idea, it is what it is today. I have received some calls from some of dear friends trying to perhaps lobby for someone to be in the platform with me these Wednesdays at 8 p.m. But from the very beginning, Gary and I had this conversation, and I said, this is a platform that is going to be open for the world of arts. Why? Because we are both very fond of the world of arts, and we know very much so how difficult it is for artists, nonprofits, foundations, theaters, and other organizations around the world of arts through this pandemic. We are all trying to figure out what's going on. We're all trying to figure out what is the next step in all this. But right now, our artists and our foundations are going through a tough one. So I wanted to talk to the community and find out what are they doing, what is happening, and how can we help. So this is an incredible platform for all of you. I figured out, I took some classes for a weekend, during a weekend, and then I figured out, and here we are, 3,500 people watching this as I count the different platforms. So you can see all these or the previous editions of this broadcast if you go to my blog or my YouTube page, actually under my name, Oscar de las Salas, or you can simply go to my blog. Idea is my husband, he's downstairs, is whatwouldoscardo.com. He was the one who came up with the name because everyone calls, and you all know the story. So I usually have a monologue and I tell you what happened to me and to us during the last few days before being here in front of you talking about all stuff about the world of arts. And I just wanted to talk to you about a meeting that I had with Sasha Clemens. So Sasha has a, how do I say this? This is a magazine that is called the Scout Guide, and it's part of a national brand. So she has the local version of this magazine that you can find in hotels. This is an annual guide, so it's yearly, and it's in every single hotel and spas and hair salons. And you guys know that we're barely going to these places. So she has this incredible production, visual production for local. Uh, um, they are aimed to local businesses and businesses within the city where they are printed. Is amazing. So she and I had social distancing coffee the other day, and she wanted to talk to me about the one for Scottsdale and Phoenix. So here is the previous one, Phoenix and Scottsdale guide, and it was a fantastic conversation. And the information that she has here is aimed to luxury, to brands that they are starting, to local brands, and she distributes this throughout the community. So, Sasha, thank you for your time and thank you for calling me. This was amazing. This is what we need in the community, is just like style, design, things that inspire us, because we know we need inspiration right now. Times are not easy. And talking about inspiration, last Sunday, Gary and I woke up at 5 a.m. because we needed to go to the west side. I'm talking west side because that's what the west side is for me. Um, and help to distribute 27,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. Are you kidding me? They were all donated. It was a drive-through, and it was incredible. All to the hands of um, made possible by Courtney Bennett, who represents um, the Tito's brand in our region. She helped us with a group of volunteers to to bring people in first of all, and then it was all social distancing. It was all with the CDC guidelines, and we distribute all those bottles. We actually distribute to other nonprofits as well at the end of the day. But I'm going to show you this video because it was quite fun. So thank you, Courtney. Check this video.
Oscar de las Salas, Tito's sanitizer giveaway, directing traffic flow, like a pro. Ay, perfecto. Here they come. There's Gary.
And that was the whole morning. And we were there from, like I mentioned, from 6 in the morning past. I think we came home around 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, because we were just giving all these free sanitizers, all these bottles of 375 milliliters. I'm going to check your math later on. So it was fantastic. So thank you to Tito's handmade vodka, Tito's handmade vodka, and thank you to Courtney Bennett for making it possible. It is a huge donation, and it is needed right now. But and talking about other things such as inspiration and things that we need right now, I was contacted by a very good friend of mine, Tracy Lytle, the other day, and she said, "You know, you have a brand. Your brand is Oscar. We all know Oscar, Oscar here, Oscar there. So you guys know that I'm an architect and I'm an executive at a big firm, and I just do all sorts of executive things. But I still do these type of things, like this type of print. Thank you very much, our guest, who says that I like pattern on pattern. Yet you will see soon what a pattern on pattern is. My guest today is, we're going to have a long talk. But before we get to my guest today, I want to talk to you about this local company that is opening a new brand within their company. It's a women-owned business. Incredible. Go girls. And they have a new brand within their brand, and it's all about branding. So I want to run this video for you so you can see what happened. When was that? I think it was yesterday. No, the day before. In 4 hours, studio, all CDC guidelines again, because remember, I was sick. We will yet have to find out if it was COVID or not. But check out this video that they cut today, last minute, of what happened. You guys saw the Instagram feed and so on and so forth. But this is a lot of fun. I haven't even seen it. So check this out. Talking about having fun. Thank you so much. This was just incredible. I was not expecting such a all day. But thank you. This was fantastic. So wow, I have the founder of CM Elite with me, Sydney Sherman. Sydney, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Oscar. How are you?
Fantastic. This was just a surprise for me. Thank you so much for such a good time.
It was a blast. It was absolute blast. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to us, myself and the audience about that video and all those pictures. So this is a new brand of your brand, correct?
Correct. We're really just expanding constantly on the importance of branding imagery for businesses. We deal with a really high-end clientele, large businesses, small businesses, and really putting the word out there to keep people aware that they need to take the time, make the effort, make the investment in themselves right now, especially like you were just talking about with the pandemic. It's more important than ever to get that good imagery out to represent you, live, not live, even just a screenshot of a headshot, when you're on a Zoom call or whatever. So, I mean, you were a guy with a story. We had to start telling your story. I don't even feel like we got to the full story, but it was just an absolute blast.
Thank you so much
But
for having me. It was great. You
yeah,
guys follow all the CDC guidelines. So
yes.
I'm showing the website, so you can see how the team you saw in the video, they're following all the CDC guidelines. And
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you a question. How
Mhm.
all this came to be, where all these started.
This all started in the humble beginnings of my mother's backyard. Our business was basically a hobby that spilled into a business. And soon enough, I was, quote, just helping her out for a little bit. And I've been in the arts my whole life. And so 17 years later, still with my partner in crime, Heather Montesir, she had joined us, and we just keep growing and growing and growing. So this was mainly for families, high school seniors. We did a lot of business executives, but about 2 years we got hit and slammed pretty hard with business executive requests. So it was literally enough to motivate me to take the entire last year to really get this division built in gear, solid, moving forward. And we are loving it in every aspect you can even imagine. I mean, we are getting A to Z, just about anybody, and it's just so much fun. So yeah.
This is just great. So thank you to Tracy Lytle, who was the contact, and I see
Yes.
McKenna Wesley. Hi, McKenna.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's watching. That is perhaps she's actually on the cover of one of your pictures, right? One of your
Yeah, if you go
links
to the
here.
homepage, she's our cover girl right now, and actually I've got a killer art piece of her. It's a huge gold medal piece she modeled for us. Absolutely stunning. And she was an inspiration for really pulling together a larger branding package as well. So yeah, that's why we contacted you. We knew you were the guy who had would be able to offer the other side of it. So
Well,
especially being so inspirational in the arts community.
oh, thank you so much. And like I said, it's about patterns and patterns. My guest today loves the fact that I mix patterns, and he says that somehow they work. We'll have to see that in a few minutes. But I just wanted to remind everyone that down below on the ticker, we are basically giving a shout out to the entire team, and we are directing the information to your website. Thank you so much for the time. Anything else that you want the audience to know?
Anything else I'd like them to know? No, I mean, we do a little bit of everything. So any needs that you may have, just go to our website, check it out, see if we're a good fit. Happy to make a phone call and chit chat about your needs. That's about it. But we had a blast with you, and this was only 2 days ago. So, and I love the flower wall. I think that
Thank you.
really
What's the
put
name
the
of the
icing on the
flower
cake.
word designer? What is the name of the designer? I forgot her name.
Yes, Megan Carolla is in downtown Scottsdale, and she owns the Flower Bar. She is an incredible artist. Well, she takes artistry to a whole new level. azflowerbar.com is her website. Make sure to check her out. She jumped in on the project because we needed to match your suit. So that's
That
walked
was not
in
easy. That was not easy. And she did a great job. So thank you so much for
phenomenal.
joining us tonight. Thank you for giving us that video. And thank you for all of what you guys do because it's quite incredible. So if you want
Oh,
headshots, you know the girl, you know the website. So thank you so much once again, Sydney, and we'll see you soon.
perfect. Thank you, Oscar.
All right, see you soon. Bye bye. So that was Sydney, and she and her team are amazing. Once again, they did it all within CDC guidelines, and I felt comfortable. I felt secure. The team did an amazing job. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So that was my, oh, got 18 minutes into it. That was my monologue of the morning, of tonight, sorry. I didn't talk about Noche en Blanco. I didn't talk about, which is coming up. I didn't talk about Love It campaign, which we launched last week, yeah, last show. And I talk at PCA today, Phoenix Community Alliance, which unites all downtown organizations and businesses. I spoke about it today with Carol Poor, previous and previous editions. But my guest is waiting, and I'm just like here, like blah 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 blah. Let's see who is my guest today. This is, by the way, he's from here. He's from Arizona. He went away and he came back, and he came back strong. And he's going to show us what is his mission. And I am 100% to follow him and support him. Here is, this is our guest. This is his intro. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Arizona Artistic Director, Mr. Sean Daniels.
That was amazing.
What was amazing? You are
What
amazing.
what what how
What?
okay, so like where do you find the time to do that? That's like a week's worth of research and editing. I'm so flattered that you did that.
It was the same thing that Bob Cooper asked me, the same thing that, Joe Spector asked me. That was the same thing everyone asked me. I was like, I don't watch TV.
Sure.
You see, no, I watch TV. And that's the first thing. I watch zero TV, like zero. I kind of go Netflix on and on. I do read books.
Yeah.
That takes Monday and Friday out of my schedule.
Right.
I do work out and then 8 to 5 job, and my brain never stops. And I just read a lot, and I have a very
Sure.
good retentive
Sure.
memory. But thank you for joining me tonight.
Oh my God, it's such an honor to be on your show. I mean, this is the like hi-fi version of a talk show that's happening here in town. So I'm just, I'm just honored to be here. This is the place to be.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for coming back. And by the way, the reason that I change patterns, you may see me, you don't see me, you kind of see my head,
Yeah.
because pattern on pattern works, and black and white works.
I know. I appreciate pattern on pattern, but not everyone goes for it. So not everyone is you, right? You could pull off about anything.
There you go. You saw the previous photo shoot. So tell me about your coming back to Arizona all the way from Boston, which was your last stop.
Yeah, so I guess let me just start at the beginning, and then you guide me like how you want to. So I grew up in Mesa, Arizona.
Mhm.
I'm a fifth generation Arizonan, and I grew up in a political family here. The Udall family is my family. So my great grandfather was the Chief Justice of the Arizona Supreme Court, and I had two uncles who were the mayors of Phoenix. And Mo Udall ran for president, as everyone knows. I just grew up in a family where Arizona was always the state of possibility, and it was always the place where the future was possible, and it was really the heart of America, right? That we knew. And so my parents were subscribers and donors to Arizona Theater Company, and they took me to every show. And at the time, I thought they were like really progressive. But I'm now learning that they're maybe just lazy and just took me to everything, not checking or just thinking I'm ready for whatever. And I remember going to see early shows and my mind being blown away by them, and really, going to Arizona Theater Company before it was at the Herberger, and then when it was at the Herberger, and in its first year. And just all I wanted after seeing it was a life in the theater, right? Like,
but you were the only one in the family who loved the theater, or your mother took you to the theater, for what I understand.
Both my parents, both were subscribers. They both loved going. And we would go as a whole family. And it's a little like, when you grow up and you realize not everyone is the same religion as you. It's also like only when you grow up that I realized like not everybody's family was a subscriber to every theater in town and went to go see everything, right? So I just thought like that's what everybody did. And so we grew up going to things. And I definitely remember a production of Our Town that just changed my life. I mean, literally, I left and wanted to think about it. I wanted to talk about it. I didn't, I was blown away by the spoiler alert, right? They're all dead. And then people don't realize the beauty around them. And then my parents also took me to Private Lives, which is, I remember this distinctly, is a play about like middle-aged people having affairs, and I think like at a young age, I didn't really get the jokes, but I wanted to laugh with everybody, right, along at what those things were. But I just, all I ever wanted was a chance to work in the theater after, walking out as a young boy.
So that was early you in Arizona, and then you went away. We're gonna walk that line little by little with you in a few minutes, but just tell me the landing. So this is Arizona, which is, by the way, the same thing that I felt when I landed here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, everything can. I mean, you can make your life here. Anything can, not goes, but you create your persona. You can help to build the city that we're part of. So tell me what happened when you were in Boston, and then we're like, there is bing, seeing this possibility to go back home, was your heart like pounding? Was like, oh my God, I'm going to get it. I'm going to apply for this. What happened?
So actually, like the real story of it
Hmm.
is the job came open, and I like 3 or 4 years ago, and I applied for it because it's always been my dream job to come back and work here. I've always wanted to be here. I've always wanted to return to family. We were at the time starting to try to have a family, and so we're like, oh, let's move, to where it is. And so the first time I applied for the job, I applied for it, and then we started to go through some interviews, and then I took myself out of the running for the job because I had only been at the theater I was at for like a year and a half, and it was a
Yep.
turnaround job, and we were just starting to like make some exciting things happening, and I was like, you know what? I hate myself for this, but you can't leave. You can't leave it right at the beginning. And so I took myself out of it, and I thought it was like the right thing to do, but I kind of kicked myself because there's only 72 LORT theaters, right? So
Yep.
how often are they going to come around for the one that's in your hometown?
This guy has a question.
Yeah.
For those in the audience that they don't know what an LORT, LORT Theater is,
Yeah.
define it for me.
So a LORT theater is what I would say is like the top tier regional theaters in the country, right? So we have a collective bargaining agreement. We're called the League of Regional Theaters. LORT on our behalf talks with Equity, which is the Actors and Stage Managers Union, the SDC, which is the Directors Union, but it really is a level of kind of like what are the top organizations in the country. And Arizona Theater Company is the only LORT theater in Arizona. There is no.
So that gives you some sort of panache, if you would, right? Just to be the only one in Arizona.
Yeah. So when the job came up, I applied for it. I took myself out of it. I kicked myself for it, but it was the right thing to do. And then the person that took the artistic director job did exactly what I didn't want to do. They left after a year and a half, and suddenly the job came open again. And I thought like, okay, now I'm going to go for it. Now I feel like I've been at an organization for 4.5 years. I can apply for it. And so, you apply for it and you hope for the best. Every time that I came out for interviews, I got to see family. I got to see everybody. And, you don't want to put too much stock because you don't in your dream job coming. But when I got the offer, it was really the thing I've been waiting for my whole life, which is to be able to come back because I want every kid who is like me. I took every class in our education program, but I want every kid who walks through our front door to know that someday they could be the artistic director of Arizona.
So you're basically returning home and giving back and fulfilling like the little kid that you were, their dream, just allowing them to become who you are today or the path that you took in life, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to come back and I wanted to grow the company. I wanted to put it, on financial footing. I wanted to grow its national reputation. I mean, there's no reason that Arizona Theater Company can't be the spring training of the world, which is to say, if you want to see the best artists in our country before anybody else and for a quarter of the price, Arizona is the place that you go to be able to.
That's a fantastic statement. I hope whoever is writing from magazines and newspapers and so on can pick up that statement and publish it over and over again. So I wanted to walk you through something that I'm working currently.
Sure.
So you know that I'm an architect. I work for an international firm that does interiors as well. And through the world of COVID, we have seen through the world of the new world, which is includes COVID, we have seen a lot of changes of how our interiors and our spaces look like. I can even fathom right now being in a theater. I saw some pictures of some people in the theater and I'm just like, oh, anyway. But that's my personal take. I'm writing a paper regarding interiors and architecture and the new world on COVID. And I told you that I needed your input because you know that world. And I also wanted you to tell me the reason why you like either A or B. There's two options in these wonderful survey that I'm working on and this paper that I'm writing for as a research. So check this video and I will ask you some specific questions, but I would love you to come back with an answer, either A or B. Check this
Okay,
out.
great. Oh my God. I would say B.
Okay,
I would say B.
so you are more into this type of space. So you are on B. Now tell me the reason why you picked B.
Well, I think it just looks more modern, right? It looks cutting edge to be able to do it. I'm married to a German, so I've learned to love clean lines and sparse setting to be able to do it. No, it just kind of looks like a more modern and a younger place, where A looks a bit more like a very fancy museum, older place to be. It looks as though I would think A, very nice, very expensive. But maybe aimed at an older clientele, maybe a bit of a more of an older world feel. And B to me feels younger and it feels more dynamic.
If I spin the bottle and I say, then there came COVID. COVID is part of all this. Coronavirus came through, and then which one would you pick?
I guess still B, right? Because I feel like A is just more, feels like there's just more stuff, right? It's more packed. There's more, it just feels dense. And I feel like that's not what what we will respond to right now, right? Like outdoors, clean, big open areas, feels like what people are, what I'm responding to right now.
Perfect. So then I'm going to have this, by the way, this is on YouTube, Twitter, and my blog and Facebook Live. And by the way, there's a comment here. There's a comment that it keeps popping up. Oh, it's Bob Cooper. So what's up? So he says, hello, boys.
Oh, Bob Cooper. Hello.
Hey, Bob. Bob was with us about a few weeks back, and he's actually the top of most views on these interviews. Bob is very popular.
Well, everybody loves Bob Cooper, right? He's not as scandalous as the rest of us artistic directors, right? So that's, yeah.
So I like the word scandalous, and it could be used in literature very, very well. But I wanted to walk you through your past, the beginning of your life. Where were you at the beginning of all this? I'm going to run this quick bumper, and then you can tell me. We're going to visit that young Sean Daniels. Check this out.
All right. Am I dead? I feel like I'm dead. I feel like this is what happens when you die. Is that like
no,
Oscar
this is your life.
Greets you and then walks you through and then tells you whether you're going to heaven or hell afterwards. That's like the A-B choice that you're doing at the end. Yeah.
I walk you through your life, and I'm very curious of everyone who gets to a level that they have a podium and they talk to the community of their journey.
Yeah.
And to get where they are. You now have a podium. You talk to the community in a wonderful way through the wall of arts. So I'm curious about that journey. we talk about the boy that went to ATC in Mesa, a very young age, and then you went away. What happened through those years? What happened?
So I went to Florida State University. We moved over and we left Arizona and we went to Florida afterwards is where we moved to, right? So keeping red states, keeping it warm. And when I was at Florida State University, I had a group of friends and we were in the School of Theater program and none of us could get cast in anything. We didn't fit in. We weren't good. We just didn't. So when we graduated, we came up with the really great idea of the only way to get hired was to start our own theater company and to hire ourselves to be able to do it. And so we moved to Atlanta. We found an old warehouse space and we started this theater called Dad's Garage Theater Company. I was 21 when we started it. And we decided to do it with the great plan of doing it until the money ran out, which was not a great plan, and I do not recommend to anybody else. But the theater just celebrated its 25-year anniversary. So we really were able to hit on something and go from there. And some of the pictures that you saw in there is those really early days, that like regrettable late 90s fashion mixed with us trying to do theater that a community responded to.
Yes.
And one of them, I will say, if I could just tell like a few like very short stories about things that we did. The thing that really put us on the map was there was this movie called Cannibal the Musical. And we saw this like late night version of it. And, so I wrote to the guys that created it and said, I want to adapt your movie into a musical. Would you let us do it? And there's these two guys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who were in Denver, and they were a TV show they were pitching called South Park, but it hadn't been picked up yet. And they said like, sure, yeah, you can do our musical. And so we did it. South Park came out while we were in rehearsal. Some kid tried to wear a Cartman shirt to school in Georgia and got sent home. And suddenly South Park was this giant thing. And we were doing this musical, Cannibal the Musical, at the right time in the right place. And it really catapulted the organization onto the national stage.
So this is your early days. You decided I'm going to make a musical about cannibal because that's a subject that everyone will relate to.
That's right. To be able, well, it was just a fun, it was a musical, already that was a movie. And we're like, oh no, this should be on stage. And we just had some nice experiences like that. Eric Bogosian, who's a playwright and a writer, was a big early supporter of us. We were doing a play of his, actually the first play I ever directed. And this is a little regrettable and a little shameful. I directed it and I thought I did such a good job directing it that I wrote him a letter and I was like, I did an awesome job directing your play. You should fly down and see it because you would really like it. Which is also something I don't recommend to anyone. He did. He flew down. He came down. He saw it. He went to go see the show. He brought Richard Linklater, who had just directed Dazed and Confused. They saw the show. We all went out, drank gin and tonics afterwards. And he wrote us this amazing letter of support. So suddenly we were these like 24-year-old kids who had this letter of recommendation from Eric Bogosian to be able to go out and do it.
This is incredible. There's to me, it's very exciting to know that there's a director because you are the one who put all these pieces together and glue all these together. You bring subjects that are not easy to talk about, and we know that the world of arts and theater is a way to amplify that information. I found very hidden between or amongst your social media posts these wonderful. I have to tell you, I am a Nina Simone fan.
Yeah.
And I've never seen this. Why don't we have it here?
Well, and so actually Nina Simone for Women is in the upcoming season at Arizona Theater Company. So, yes. If everything holds, which we feel like it will, and we hope that it does, it will be the third show in terms of us coming back. Because I feel like it is the type of thing where it's like her music is important. And the thing that Christina Hamm has done is that it's not your usual jukebox musical. She is trying to tackle the same kind of political injustices that Nina Simone was tackling. in her time of doing
Yes.
it. And so that's why I'm really excited for that type of musical to come to Tucson and then come to Phoenix afterwards.
This is amazing just to have that type of frame of work in a place like Arizona that we're able to talk freely and without any taboos about any subjects through the world of theater. So that is a step forward of being forward. So thank you. But going back to your early years, I wanted just to briefly ask you a question, which I ask everyone that sits or come to this show, because I'm curious to know what do they what do they think and can talk to about this young person. If you happen to be in front of young Sean Daniels, what can you tell him? What would you tell him?
Well, I guess first of all that I don't know when sweaters were like a thing that everybody was wearing all the time, but it was gonna fade to be able to do it. I think, what would I tell myself then?
Mhm.
I think one of the things I often recently going through COVID try to think about it the other way. I try to think about like what would that guy tell me? Because I feel like don't start a theater, don't become an artistic director, don't run a not-for-profit organization, don't fund, like all these are like all common thinking, right? But somehow this is the life that we've chosen to be able to
Correct.
do it. And so I try to remember always like what so inspired me about those early days of being able to get together, right? So I guess less than give him advice, I would want to know from him, like, remind me about like, what is it each day that, is so powerful about beating the odds every day with a theater, because that's the best thing. And, something that's really, I think, changed, the thing about Dad's Garage, right, is that when we were starting it, the average theater goer at Dad's Garage was a 27-year-old single male. And the average theater goer in the country, right, is a 57-year-old married woman. So what the power of when you do work where people get to see themselves represented on stage, they respond to it. And so for us at the beginning, that was about age, right? That was about like, nobody makes theater for people in their 20s. I bet if you did, they would come, and they came like mad, right? And that, it's like 25 years later. But that same idea has now played out in terms of communities, right? In terms of diverse communities, in terms of economic communities, where you say like representation on stage of whoever you are makes a huge difference. And, there's something about the power of theater that when you see it on stage, you're in the same room with them, it resonates even more than being able to see something, on TV or in a movie. So, I guess if I had some advice, I would be like, I'd be like, you should work out now, because it's only going to get harder to try to, and like pull it together a little bit earlier. But, I guess I'm just trying to remember like, what it is. And I will say, Dad's Garage was it was an ensemble of people. And I left after 10 years because I wanted to be a professional director, and I wanted to do that. And, I've never had a community like that again. Like, I've worked in professional theater. I've done technically better shows. I've gotten to work all over the world, but I've never had the same camaraderie that you have early on when you're in your 20s and nobody's making any money. And you're just determined to, it's like every single day the theater could fold, but it goes on, and we get to do one more show, and we get to be able to move there. You showed a picture of Jimmy Carter, which we were there with, that I just also want to share.
So there's so much. I mean, I was like, we could be here for hours. Because,
I know.
No. But it's just like, and I will be, my God, it's a pleasure for me to have you with me here, because I'm always curious. Like I said, that person, that young Sean Daniels, had a dream, but also was surfing life. It's like, when you are young, you do all these crazy things, all these things that perhaps in the future you look back and you're like, oh my, why did I do that? But it makes you who you are today. And I know that through life, we all go through bumps and things that we perhaps shouldn't have done, but we learn from them. And at that time when you were young, you were doing it because you loved arts, the world of arts, because you loved the art that you were into.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think like we saw that connection with an audience, and it was just like, oh my God, this is the art. I mean, at the end of the day, like you don't do theater unless you love the art form, unless you feel like it does things that other things can do. Because if you can do other things, you should, and if you want to be able to do it. So if I can just tell this Jimmy Carter story, first of all, once again, another time that I thought sweaters were a good look. So we did this play at the time was called 43 Plays for 43 Presidents, where every president got a 2-minute play. And at the end, the audience selects how the play ends. And actually, I've done the play every 4 years for 16 years. This is the first year that I haven't done it. And so I wrote, once again, because I'm just like, just go for it. Just ask for what you want. We wrote to Jimmy Carter and we said, we're doing a play. You appear in it. We live, we're in Atlanta. We're down the street from the Carter Center. Like, if you ever want to come see some theater, please let us know. We're happy to comp you and get you in. And we got contacted the day before by Secret Service. And they came to us and they said, Jimmy's going to come to the show tomorrow night. But if anybody finds out he's coming, we will cancel. And we have to walk through the building, and it's a play about presidents, right? So you have to tell us every time a gunshot happens in the show so that we don't dive on him in the middle of the piece, right?
What's a president that died like that, by the way?
Oh, no. It'll be a lot, like Teddy Roosevelt got shot and kept talking. You know what I mean? So there's lots of presidents that have been shot and different things. And I will say, like, one of the greatest nights of my life. So, and they also said Jimmy Carter needs an area backstage, right? He's not going to talk to anybody. He's going to come right in. He's going to sit at his seat, and he's going to, at intermission, you're going to walk him right back to his like secret area. And, please don't crowd him or anything like that. And so anyway, right before the curtain comes down, Jimmy Carter walks in with Rosalind, and they sit down, and the audience is like, begins to figure it out. And then the best thing that happened at intermission, when the lights come up and Jimmy Carter is supposed to walk backstage, he stands up and he turns and he walks into the audience and he shakes the hand of every person who is there. And he thanks them for supporting the arts in Georgia to be able to do it. And that's what he spends his entire 15 minutes is thanking all of them. And then, of course, when we get to the Jimmy Carter play, there's a standing ovation. He had just won the Nobel Peace Prize like 3 days before coming to the theater. And so the entire theater stopped, for like 10 minutes as everybody just cheered him and to be able to do it. And then the next piece after Jimmy Carter is a Ronald Reagan piece. And there's like a joke in there where like Reagan talks about trading guns for hostages. And out of nowhere, you hear like the one laugh of Jimmy Carter come out of the audience in the Reagan piece, and the place goes berserk. The place goes crazy to be able to do it. But then afterwards, he like shook all of our hands. He invited us to come do the show at the Carter Center. I mean, he was like such an amazing supporter of the arts to be able to do it. So this is one of the highlights of my life, the night that Jimmy Carter came to see a show I directed. Thank everyone in the audience for supporting the arts.
I mean, you had the sweater picture with Jimmy Carter. That's all you need in your life.
I know.
Right?
I realized I could have retired. Like I was like 28 in that picture. I could have easily.
I have a Jimmy Carter picture with my ugly. Sorry, not ugly. With my striped sweater. No comment.
It was 99. We didn't know. We thought Y2K was a thing. We were just trying to stay warm because we thought that all the computers were going to crash. So that's what we were doing. Yeah.
So this is a director who decides to do something like this in a theater with all the requirements that you have for a president, and talk about issues that perhaps you don't talk about. Now we haven't talked about everything in social media, but that's another episode of this show. But my point here is that through the Wall of Arts, you're giving this window to the community. I have one quick question, and I want to walk you through this because this is quite interesting to me as a designer. I have gone through the pictures of the performances that you have worked on, and the sets are stunning. Stunning. I don't know where in your brain, where are you able to put all this incredible creativity? I was like, because remember, I started designing, that's how I started my career, side job, designing sets. So I'm very familiar to lighting, the depth, perspective, and all that. Tell me about that process.
So, one thing we should always say is that we work with fantastic set designers to be able to work on things, right? So you're always trying to figure out what, you're working with somebody to be able to figure out what it is. But, a theater set is something that has to encapsulate, it's like a simple gesture often that encapsulates a really big idea. And when you can really hit on what that is to be able to do, right? So, this is Christmas at Pemberley that we did. James Fenton was our set designer. And actually everything on stage is made of old books, right? So actually, if you look, the back wall, if you look close enough, you can see all the language on it, because we said like, oh, this is an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. What if the set was actual, like, what if it was, right? So you can see it in the back that there's words everywhere to be able to do it. The tree is a fold out tree like you would find in a pop-up book to be able to do. And it's just like that one idea holds everything inside of it to be able to do. So, I think set designers are some of your best, what we call dramaturgs, people that help you to figure out what this, what the story is and to be able to do it. But I think theater design is one of the great, things for us to be able to do. So this is another one. So this is, so I got the rights. I was the first person ever who was authorized by the Jack Kerouac Society to adapt a book of Jack's into a play. And so, we want to talk about what does the set look like for a play that takes place, this play takes place in the town that we were doing it in, which is Lowell, Massachusetts, which is his hometown. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, it's about windows. It's about like looking in. So God bless our staff. They went and found 150 antique windows. And then this is them organized on stage so that we can light up different things to be able to do. But it gives you the sense that, right, we're not trying to be realistic. We're trying to say like, what's one gesture that can hold an entire show inside of it to be able to do. So I think that's the amazing thing about design that you see on stage.
It complements a story. It gives the story a 3D. It creates the environment, it creates the vision, but it has to come from the director. You have a good set designer, but the director not only gives the perspective and then the lighting and the set itself, but that's another level, and it comes from you. One thing that I found that about you, sorry, because this is your life type of show, sorry, you did not expect this, but now you do, is the fact that those long hours that you have with a team going through rehearsals, this is how it looks without all that set.
Correct. Well, and one thing that I'm really interested in is transparency in the artistic process. Like, how do we open up the artistic process of like what it is? In high school, I was forced to play 2 sports. I was terrible at them. But I now have an appreciation for them. The average person did arts education has been ripped out of their schools. I promise you it's not in the schools in Mesa, Arizona, and that they, don't have an appreciation for what it takes to be able to do it. So I often think like sharing the process of what it takes. What does it look like? When you come see a play, you're like, oh, it's a family. And you're like, actually, these people met 4 weeks ago. And they're like, I'm your son, I'm your daughter, I'm your lover, I'm your ex-husband, whatever it is to be able to do. And then they do this work to be able to figure out. And so like, yeah, this is what a rehearsal looks like as we figure out what's the best way to be able to put a show together, how to best tell a story.
So this is the work of a director. I've talked to other directors. I've talked to Bob Cooper. We talked to Joe Spector. We had other people align, and there's other directors coming up as these talk show podcast continues on air. And I always find these creatives moving forward, a step forward than the rest of the audience, even the actors and everything. You're like, you go to a rehearsal, it's like, where did he get this idea? So tell me, where do you get your inspiration from?
So I will say, I actually think my job as a director is not to have the best idea in the room. My job is to hear the best idea in the room. And so what I like to do is put together a team of deeply creative people that feel like they're in it, that they feel like they're valued, and we're figuring it out together. And then I make a call, and then we move forward to the next thing, right? Because if everybody has to figure out kind of, if we're all guessing on everything, nothing ever happens, right? But I think Actors are brilliant thinkers in terms of what it is. Designers are brilliant thinkers. So I just think like my job is really a director does most of their work through other people, right? That they work through a set designer to get the best set. They work through actors to get the best performance. And so my job is just to have that environment. If there's too many ideas you have to come up with for a show. So I don't have to have all of them. I have to have the team that comes up with them. And when somebody says, I really think it should be this, you have to be like, that's the one. That's what we're doing. Let's move on to the next thing. And I think if you can build a show like that, then you can really begin to do it.
So you basically sell an idea, and you express the idea to the actors, and they are your instrument with their talents to produce what you envision. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think you work with them to be like, here's the story we're telling, here's what I think is important, here's why this is vital for us to be able to do it. And I feel like that's, even when we've done stuff online, and we've had this like really successful digital season that we've kind of pivoted to, that still is your job. Your job is still like, what is the story that we're doing? How are we telling it? What's important about this moment? How do we contextualize it for our audience?
So we talked about all the subjects that are kind of taboo and difficult to talk about, and you kind of, with a finesse, with a little bit of tact, touch upon those subjects. What are we expecting as it comes the new season?
So so the first couple shows when we come back, and we're aiming to come back at the end of January, right? Which is really what we are pushing for as an organization. So the first couple shows, the first one is called My 8-Year-Old Boyfriend, which is about intergenerational friendship, which doesn't sound like the sexiest thing, but it is like so needed in terms of, and it's an award-winning show. It won this award. The book writer won $100,000 for writing it. So it's really been one of this prestigious award to be able to do it. And, it's a show about looking for similarities and not differences in other people. And really, how do we begin to do it? And all I can think is no matter what happens on November 3rd, right, half the country thinks we should burn the place to the ground. Right. And so as an art form, regardless of what it is or your political views, how do we begin to talk about how do we come together? Right. How do we not talk about divisiveness? How do we begin to do it? And I think that's the show for that. Our second show is I
have one quick question. And I know that as a director, you need someone to work with. And you need a pair, and you need someone to bounce the information with. So you are like, okay, I have this idea, but would Chanel Bragg agree?
Of course you would. Yeah.
So Chanel, we can't hear you. Hold on. Let me because this is like a Zoom call. We're going to unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, Chanel?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
We got you. So how do you bounce information back from this man that goes like, he's faster than me?
You know what? It's really great working with Sean because he's already thought of a great solution. And oftentimes I find myself then like bouncing things off of him and then him making it even better. So yeah, I really enjoy the back and forth that we have because it is a dialogue and is a give and take and an exchange. And I always feel like even if I came up with an idea that I thought was really, really great, I'll bring it to Sean. And then I'm like, it was great, but this is better.
So that is true. That's the way it works. It's like, by the way, this is my idea. But why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chanel Bragg, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director for Arizona Theater Company. And Sean is my partner and my boss man. So hello.
So Sean, this is what you needed. You needed more energy than myself and Chanel. I mean, I am out of this picture. You guys talk.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, Arizona Theater Company, right, is the state theater. We're in 2 cities. Now that we're digital, we're trying to be in 2 cities and, anywhere that you want to be. And you just need like a real partner enduring that. You really have somebody that you can say like, run with this. I trust you, be a part of it so that we can be everywhere because we're trying, not only do we have our season coming up, we're also developing new things. We have, We're working with the band Chicago to be able to do a musical that we hope goes to Broadway. If we're developing that and we're putting a season on and we're doing our digital season, you need a real partner to be able to do it. And you need someone that you trust implicitly just to be like, just go make this better and come back and tell me what you've done.
So walk me through a reading session, Chanel, what happens through a reading session? Who brings the ideas? How does it work? There is a wall full of post-its and idea, strategic thinking and all that.
Well, there's a lot. It just depends on what we're working on at the moment. So, for example, we just had a wonderful staff retreat, and we had, just like you said, like what post-its are on the wall. We were working on our value statement and how important it is as a new organization where the majority of our senior management team is new, and trying to shape like what is it that. How do we want to stand? Like, what values do we want to stand on? And so, yes, so in that room of all of us brainstorming, of bringing different words that we feel like represent the organization and being able to brainstorm as a whole why that is important and how that relates to our mission statement, both internally and externally to our patrons, was like a beautiful exercise to watch and to navigate, definitely with Sean and with the rest of the management team.
So that sets up, like that retreat sets the line for next season and for next year, correct, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, we're really taking this moment, this like COVID break, to be like, let's do all the like internal restructuring, planning. Yep. Let's redo the mission statement. Let's redo the values. We will never have this time again, right? And if you work for a not-for-profit organization that's under-resourced, you're just like bailing water. You're just like, we're always in rehearsal for the next show. And, we all have the best intentions for how we transform our organizations, but it sometimes takes 5 or 6 years because you're just doing it in little bits. And so what we've been able to do here is to be able to say, we have the time, not only can we have a meeting where we all work through what it is, be able to do it. When we're workshopping shows, everyone's available. So let's go ahead and let's get everyone together. And so we're trying to make sure that we use this time to come out of this time stronger. I think the organizations that survive this will be the ones that are very clear in their mission and who they serve, right, and how the community responds to them. If you're kind of wishy-washy about like, well, we're here because some people like it, you're going to be gone.
So we know that Tucson is the place where Arizona Theater Company had their first foot in Arizona, and you guys are taking big strides to come into Phoenix. Talk to me about that process. Like, okay, we are the Arizona Theater. My husband gives me here, and Gary's part of your board, and I know he talks a lot about it with me, and I'm just like, zip, don't say anything, but I do help when I can. But talk to me, or tell me and the audience those big strides. What are you doing to conquer Arizona as a whole, based in Phoenix?
So Tucson will always be where we're from, right? And that will always be like our home base in terms of where it is. So like that's not going to change at all. Okay. But what we are the state theater. We were recognized as the state theater, and so we've always wanted to grow to be everywhere. And so Phoenix is the 5th biggest city in the country, right? And so if you want to grow, if you want to bring in new people, Phoenix, I think, is where we can start to be able to do that. There are literally millions of people in Phoenix who have never heard of us, who do not attend any arts organization, who are game to be able to do it. So I feel like that's where the growth is. But one of the things that we have put out, and let's talk about this. So when we do our second musical, which is Justice, which is about Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, our hope is if we can raise the money to stream it to every school in the state. So that if we're really going to be the state theater, let's say, here's a story about the first, Newsweek called her the most powerful woman in the world. And I'll tell you, when I grew up in Mesa, we like sort of knew about Sandra Day O'Connor, like she was an answer, but we didn't really know. We didn't go into the depths of what it took for her to do it and the things she had to overcome, right? They didn't put a women's restroom in the Supreme Court until Ruth Bader Ginsburg was there because they needed there to be 2, just in case this woman thing didn't work out, right? So that's what Sandra Day O'Connor was facing. And this is the 80s we're talking about. We're not talking about like, oh my God, back in the 40s, back in the 50s. We're talking about the 80s. right? When
Wow.
everybody on this call was alive. So like that's, so I just think like for us to be able to be the State Theater, it means like, let's make that musical, which Chanel is going to star in, available to the entire state, to every school, to every high school, right? That's what I think being the State Theater is.
So with that specific show, that specific performance, this is an open invitation to Sean O'Connor, who's watching, I'm sure, and I'm gonna call her this week because the O'Connor family, they are incredibly supporters of the Wall of Arts, and I'm sure when I pick up the phone, she's gonna say, yes, I'll be there. And I know my friend Carrie Yakowski is watching as well, Carrie Carnes Yakowski, and I'm sure she will be able to help us somehow. There's connections, there's people that you need to know, people that you have to know when it comes to tell a story like Sandra Day O'Connor. But I check on the website these other portion, which is a virtual season. What's going on? I'm very curious because I know that there is a podcast that you two little beauties are hosting, and you had my wonderful American mother, so I call her Miss Billy Joe Herberger, with you recently, and it was just like a party going on with her, which is always is, and it was amazing. So what's happening with Hang and Focus, and what is happening with these broadcasts that you guys are hosting and the digital season?
Do you want to take it, Chanel?
Yeah, I would love to. So Hang and Focus is such a wonderful device for us to be able to really connect with the audience. See, what's really great, and in the past, you haven't really got to see an artistic team have that kind of touch with the public. Like, ever. I can't actually think of any time I've ever seen that happen. So when I came on board and I found out that we had this podcast, I was like, yes, as a local native Arizonan, woo woo, it was important to me that Arizona Theater Company, if we are the State Theater, as we say we are, that we genuinely have roots in my hometown. And that is ever more present with initiatives such as Hang and Focus with our podcast. So it is here that we are able to uncover some really great interviews, either highlighting different people that are within our community or highlighting people within our staff, because we really want you to know like who we are and what we're about, but also about the upcoming projects that we have. So we have our own little personal hype machine, which is really, really great, because what better way to promote yourself than to have fun on a podcast every Friday. So you can meet us on Facebook at 4:00 p.m. And we have exciting, and it's evolving. I mean, what it was back in March to what it is now has grown exponentially. And I'm so excited that it's only continuing to grow from here. So we've added extra beats to it to include giving out shout outs to the local community. Again, thus further enforcing that we are the State Theater, and highlighting different events that are going on around town. And so our very next episode is going to highlight our digital offering, which is a concert that we have coming up with Ben Sawyer. And when I tell you, I have watched this concert like 3, 5, 10 times over the last week and a half as it's been edited, and it is stunning, and the music is moving and wonderful, and it's a great way that I feel for us to really connect to being in the room with him. And then it's so nice to see different people in the room watching his concert, because it was the first time that he was playing, I think, in 8 months in London. Is that correct, Sean?
Yeah, the concert was October 2nd, and it was the first time that they were letting concerts be back in London. And so it's an amazing energy just to be like, these people are back in a theater. It's their first time being there. He's doing it socially distanced. You know, he's singing, they're in masks, but that energy of being in the same room, which we've all so missed, you know, it's very moving to be like, oh my God, you don't realize how much you crave it until you see it.
Is this the singer and the guitar with the solo that you guys played? Oh God, he's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
You make me cry. You make me cry.
You make me cry.
Right, Chanel?
I'm attached to his music. I sing in a band, so music really does resonate with me, and lyrics resonate with me deeply. And the music that he has says something. Like, it's not fluff. It's not like just fluffy. I guess it's the best word to say it. Like it has substance and meat and grit. And there's a couple of times after hearing a couple of his songs where I was like, I'm crying.
Yeah.
You know,
What a
it's
gift is to have people with those talents. Chanel, you are amazing. I've seen you on stage and performing. We've seen each
thank
other
you.
out and about. I appreciate you tremendously as an actress, as an actor, as part of the community. So thank you so very much for taking the time to join us tonight and have this chit chat with Mr. Sean Daniels, because this is his life. So thank you. We're going to let you go. I'm going to continue the conversation on a personal level
Thank
with
you, Chanel.
Mr. Sean Daniels. Thank you. We'll see you soon. That was Sean Daniels. I mean, Sean Daniels. That was Chanel. Chanel is like boom, 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 boom. A lot of energy. But I don't, it's 9:12. We can hang out all night. But I don't want to end this broadcast and this conversation with you without rolling this other part of your life, which is very, very personal. And I know of this part of your life because we just met recently and we have bonded with you and your family. Check this out. That little
Oh,
person. I love her.
oh, I know. She's amazing. Yeah.
So tell me about your life. I just want to close tonight by just walking with you the fatherland, the world.
You know, the like one of the best things I ever did was meet my wife, Veronica, who I don't know if you know the story. I was going through a tough time in my life, and I went to go stay with some friends in Atlanta at Dad's Garage. I didn't work there anymore, but I wanted to do there, and I went to their fundraiser, which was called Bacon Fest, that we'd started when I was there, which is a salute to bacon. And Veronica was a performer, and she was volunteering there, and she was working the kissing booth at the theater. And so I know. And it was very safe. There was like a thing of plastic, in between her and the
COVID,
thing.
was it COVID time?
It was like pre-COVID times we were new, and but we went and I kissed her at that kissing booth, and afterwards I was like, I have got to be in touch with that woman. Who is this woman to be able to do? And so we followed up. We started dating. We got to work together. She proposed to me, which actually is a story that I just told Chanel earlier tonight, and then we were lucky enough, our daughter, Vivian Adventure Daniels, came just about 2.5 years ago. And so it's really been like it's like such a blessing every day to be able to spend the time with the two of them. And I will say, it's amazing, right? Is that now we've been home for 6 months, and I go into the office once a week. And once a week when I go in, I like text my wife that I miss her when we're there, because even after 6 months, I feel like it's not enough time that I get to spend with her. And, on those days that I go in, I wish I was talking to her.
So you have V and V at home.
That's right. That's right. Two V names to be able to do it.
So, I out of all the pictures, and thank you for spending the time with me. I want to close with you telling me the story about this one. Doctor Who fan, what? Talk to me about this. What the Daleks are coming for you? What's going on here?
So we actually, one of our very first thing, like when you're first dating, you're kind of like finding TV shows together that you can be able to do it. And she was always a big Doctor Who fan, and I was a science fiction fan, but I didn't know anything about Doctor Who. And so she was like, just go ahead and give it a shot, and watch it. And it became kind of like our early first show that we did. And so I had a friend of mine who was like, what do you want as a wedding gift? And I was like, we want a picture that looks like we're living in the Doctor Who world, that like Daleks are invading, that they're coming for us. And so we just took this picture, getting, afterwards in the midst of all the different pictures that you take for you able to do it. And so as a gift, this friend of ours did some Photoshop editing to be able to put it together, because it was really like our first TV show, and we still watch it, so it's, but it also tells you a bit about who we are. This is what we're thinking about on our wedding day.
So I used to watch Doctor Who like years back when it was even black and white, and it was just like, a total different scenario, total different world. But this was amazing. So I just do love this picture, and I want to thank you for such a great time tonight.
Oh my God, thank you. It's an honor to be on your show.
Oh, please. This is what this show is about. We want to talk about our stories. We want to talk about our local leaders. I want to talk about the world of arts. Most of all, the world of arts, because like I always say, Gary takes the performance arts and then I'll take the applied arts, because in this house, arts rule.
Yeah.
So thank you so much once again. Good luck with ATC. Good luck with Hang and Focus. Good luck with the upcoming digital season. And I'm going to leave actually down here the website for the audience to visit. The website, and then find out what's going on. What do you want to say in closing to the audience, and a message to all of the people watching that right now feel the world is just falling apart in pieces?
So, the thing that we hear all the time, right, is that 40% of arts organizations, 40% of not-for-profits will not survive this. To be able, so that if you think of your favorites, everything that you go to, from children's museums to, theaters, imagine that 40% of them are gone. And so we are really focusing on coming back. We're doing everything that we can to be able to do it. But I think now is the time for communities to support the organizations that they love. And if you think that you're not a big donor and you think that you can't give thousands of dollars, that's okay. Now is the moment to subscribe to your organizations to be able to do it. We bought memberships to the Phoenix Children's Museum, the Tucson Children's Museum. And even if we can't go right now, then we're able to support them at the time. So I would say, if you are an arts lover, if you believe in culture, if you believe in Arizona, if you believe that Arizona deserves to be the central place, donate to the organizations that you believe in. Subscribe to the organizations that you believe in. I will say, for us, it's arizonatheater.org for people to be able to do it. I will also say we just started a new text message thing. So let me give you that.
I didn't know that. That's new to me.
Our people are doing it.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm just going to pull up exactly what it is.
Text to.
Oh, what is it? I had it, and then my phone went to sleep.
That's fine. Just go through the phone. That's fine. I can go ahead.
But I will say, I'll find it in a second. I'll give it to you. But I would just say, now is the time to be able to donate. Now is the time to be able to support the organizations that you want, because the last thing we would want is to get through this and say, like, oh my God, we made it. And then there's no place for us to be able to enjoy each other, to enjoy arts, to be able to support those things. And, arts organizations are under-resourced as it is to be able to do it. So I think now is the moment to be able to do it. So I would say arizonatheater.org is where you can go online to be able to support us. And if you have other organizations, it doesn't even have to be us. I would say now is the time to support your community and really step up in small ways.
So thank you for that message, because I keep saying it, and I want the directors and the community leaders to remind the audience and remind the city and all of us Phoenicians and Arizonans that this is a difficult time and we need to support our own organizations.
So here's just the number. If you want to just text
Yes.
the letters ATC
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah.
Text. Go ahead.
Just the letters ATC to the number 56512.
56512.
You can donate $10, $5, and it makes a difference for us to be able to do it.
So text. Let me see. I'm going to put it on the banner here because I know we're past our 1 hour mark of the show. But guess what? No one is paying for this other than me.
That's right. To be able to
I own this thing. So I want to make sure that the audience now text to ATC 56512.
Right, just
and you can make a donation.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I would just say we thank everyone for their support. We truly believe that the community believes in us enough to be able to make it back. But the next couple of months will be crucial for every arts organization you believe in.
Yep, indeed, it will. So I want to say thank you. I know it's late. We're past the hour. Who cares? But I wanted to have this conversation with you and open this channel to talk about Arizona Theater Company, which is the premier and the Arizona-based theater company of Arizona. How about that?
I know. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for having us on here. Thank you for having Chanel on. And thank you for everything you do just to make sure that we stay in the conversation.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. So that was Sean Daniels from Arizona Theater Company. As you heard, another leader in our community is just making sure that we understand that the world of arts is going to suffer if we do not support the world of arts. You know that when we sit down in front of the TV, we watch movies, we listen to music, we enjoy the public art. We are part of an ecosystem that includes the world of arts as one, or the humanities, let's say, as part of who we are in this society. My call to you, show after show, broadcast after broadcast, is to either choose a nonprofit or an arts-related nonprofit that you feel a passion for and support them, because we need them here. This is past my time, my bedtime. I was up until 2 a.m. last night. Whatever, who cares? 8 to 5 work, a lot of things to do. But I am very pleased that I'm able to open this channel for the community. Next Wednesday, we're going to have a fantastic composer. It's going to be all about music. It is one of our shining stars in Arizona, and this is our guest for next episode. So we will have a maestro, and that's how you call them when they are specialized in music. Maestro Craig Baumler will be with us, and we will find out the process of creating Riders of the Purple Sage, an opera based on Arizona history. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Twitter, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and a repeat on my blog, whatwouldoscardo.com. From my heart to yours, please wear masks, keep 6 feet distance, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. Thank you, Tito's handmade vodka, and we will see you soon. All right? Bye, everyone. Thank you.